من جامعة دمار، وسيبدأ العرض إن شاء الله الآن.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Yes.
لو فتحت الباوربوينت قبل الشير سكرين على اساس يشتغل معك.
شغل الباوربوينت بعدين اعمل له شير سكرين. تفتحه وبعدين شير سكرين.
انا بعمل شير جاهز. كويس الآن؟
ممتاز.
اوكي جاهز؟
Yes, ready.
Okay, then we shall go. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Assalamu alaikum everyone. First of all, I would like to send a big thank you letter to Al-Baydha University for creating the opportunity for the researchers to share their products, and special thanks to the organizing committee for their excellent collaboration, correspondence, and as you can see here, the topic of this particular paper is the influence of explicit teaching of tactics and its constraints on Yemeni English as foreign language learners. This is me, Dr. Ameen Al-Jamal, from the English Language Department, Faculty of Education at Damar University. We just taken a background about the topic, specifically the technical terms that have been labeled. So we have the technical term, which is the phonotactics. Phone means sound, and the tactics means the arrangement. So altogether, phonotactics is the arrangement of sounds in a syllable or a word. The term phonotactics was first coined by Robert Stockwell in the 1950s. And it refers to the sequential arrangement of phonetic segments that form syllables and words. And the phonotactic constraints are the restrictions that we should follow or apply when coming to the phonetic segments of the syllable or the word. The problem of mastering the phonotactic constraints maximizes when it comes to learn a foreign language like English. And that is the problem of the Yemeni learners, and they encounter such difficulties. The present study argues that a great deal of Yemeni English as foreign language learners, including Yemenis, they don't have a solid background in
تخرجنا من حقهم ابونا الحين قدام بيعرضوا لها.
Okay, go ahead. Then the Yemenis have difficulty in mastering the phonotactic constraints of English, which are in reality teachable. That means we can teach them. So the topic under study was actually carried out when looked at the syllabus of the English language department in the Faculty of Education at Damar University. So the experimental study was carried out to detect is teaching phonotactics explicitly and comprehensively effective or not. The objectives of the study were as follow. The first one, to investigate to which extent the explicit teaching of English for constraints and the constraints of English on the gain or the achievement of the Yemeni students in the Department of English at the Mahir University. The second and most important objective was to formulate a suitable approach for teaching and learning the phonotactics and the phonetic constraints of English at Yemeni universities, and the Mahir University was the sample. Questions of the study were as follow. Are Yemeni English as foreign language undergraduates sensitive to the English syllable structure, syllabification of words, the single, double, and triple onsets and codas, and also the triple consonants that were followed by a vowel. And the significance of the study was as follow. This study was aimed to achieve some objectives, and the importance of the study was as following. Students coming to understand and apply the phonotactic constraints will be able to have proper pronunciation and transcription. Yes.
Again. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. Then students also will have proper spelling for clusters, that is the dictation, and also proper knowledge on the types of syllables, especially for English, and the proper syllabification, when to stop the first syllable and start the second one, and also a prevention of declusterization. And this is the problem that Yemenis face, which is the addition of some vowels, especially the schwa and some short vowels, and also the prevention of first language interference in second language learning. And finally, there will be a rapid and systematic word learning. Then, as you can see here from these two tables or chart, shows the English syllable structure, which has as many as 16 possibilities. However, the second chart shows the Arabic syllable structure, which is very short, very concise, and this creates a problem for the Yemeni learners or the Arab learners in general when learning English, because the two systems are completely different, as the two languages, of course, are from two different language families. So in summary, this study tried to look at the sounds that can be available either in the beginning or the end of the words. And beginning here, the technical term is onset, and the end of the syllable is called coda. So as we can see from the slides here, that all English syllables can appear singly in the initial position of the words, that is the onsets, except two sounds, that is the ang and the jah sound. So this is the summary. And for the final syllable, or we can say syllable coda, we can have all the sounds appearing at the end of the word or the syllable except three sounds, that is the ha, the yah, and the wa. And if coming to the second part, which is the double, now the problem is maximizing, having two consonants in the beginning of the word or the onset position, as we can see in the examples here, like for example, bread and herb, and also proud and sharp, etc. The summary is as follows. This table was developed by looking at previous studies and references, and the researcher has developed this table, that if you would like to have two consonants in the beginning of the syllable, for example, if we take the first example, that is pa, it cannot cluster with another pa, pa cannot cluster with da. The summary is that they can cluster only with specific sounds that are called approximants in English. That is the wa, ya, ra, and la, with some exceptions. For example, the first one, ba can cluster with ya, but not with wa, like beauty, and also with la, like blade, and ra, as in brag. So this is the summary of having the onsets, the double onsets in the English word, except with the case of sa sound, that is called the super sound. We can have it with pa sound, ta, ka, and the approximants. But in some cases, some sounds of English cannot cluster with another sounds, like for example, za and ja and cha. They can be followed only by vowels, but not consonants. And when looking at this chart, we can see this is the summary of the double codas. That is the sounds that can appear at the end of the syllable or word. So look at the first example, ba. cannot at all cluster with any other sound except if the sound is a suffix, that is da and za. The da is for the past and the za for present simple, or the having the plural case. Otherwise, the ba cannot have another sound before it when coming at the end of the word. And here is also the continuation of the double kudas. As for and here the researcher has developed some rules, first rule and second rule, and they are all from the tables. As for the triple onsets and triple kudas, which one are allowed and which ones are not allowed? Here we have the examples. For example, we can have as maximum as many as 3 consonants in the beginning of the word or the syllable, like screen. And for the English syllable, we can have 4 sounds that are consonants at the end of the word. And the fourth one actually is a suffixation. So this particular chart summarizes the whole story. If you have 3 consonants in the beginning of the syllable or the English word, the first one must be the sound. And the second should be one of the 3 plosives, voiceless plosives, that is the pa, ta, and ka. And the fourth is one of the 4 approximants, that is the ra, la, and ya, as we can see from the examples. Like, for example, the first one, spring, and the last one down there is squeeze. So this is the summary of having triple onsets in the English word. And here is the summary of having triple kudas. Like, for example, you can have dah, sa, and ta, as in the word midst and next. It is not next. This is the problem that the foreign speakers have, that this word is only 1 syllable, but by wrong pronunciation or not knowing the rules of the phonotactics, they can have it as 2 syllables, like next, though it is next and text. Similarly with film, it's not film. Well, so these are the summaries. Now, if we have just a background about the previous studies that the researcher has depended on, as we have mentioned in the introduction, the term was developed by Robert Stockwell in the 1950s. Dika, she has carried a study, and she indicated that the sequence of clusters ruled out by phonotactic constraints differ from language to language, and this is the case of English and Arabic, that they are different. Second is Wagner. He pointed out that the evidence indicated that the phonotactic sequences that do not occur in a language, like of course Arabic, can be difficult to produce and perceive, of course, by the learners of the new language. Shuaibi has carried out a study, and his study revealed that Yemeni speakers of English have difficulty, in fact, in altering or uttering, pronouncing the English syllable initial and final clusters. Also, he has noted that the Yemenis tend to insert extra vowel in the syllable, and this is what we have referred to in the examples of text, that can be text, or film, as in film, or screen, that can be screen. Then Al-Jasser, he carried out a study, which is part of a PhD work, and it was experimental, and it was on the tactics of English sounds, and his study found out that teaching the phonotactics explicitly and comprehensively is effective. And finally, we have here a Samawi. He conducted a very interesting, important, it was an empirical study.
الزملاء الأعزاء، نرجو الصبر شوي. أعتقد إن في مشكلة معاهم بالبث، بنتواصل معهم على أساس يعيدوا. لحظة، خليكم معنا بس. دقائق ان شاء الله ويرجع البث. المعذره. نرجو من الباحثه اكرام بن عيسى تكون جاهزه بعد ما يخلص الدكتور امين الجمال ان شاء الله ترجع.
Okay, please. Yes. Sorry for the inconvenience. Now we shall connect again. Please give us a space to share, please. Please add us as hosts. ضيفونا ك admin, please, co-host. Okay. Okay. Fine. Are we audible? Control it. It's fine. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Shall we go?
Everything is okay. You can go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Well, okay, so now that was the final study. It was carried out by a Samawi, and it was an interesting study which used the Arabic harakat, which is vowel points. But the problem is that we don't have a specialized keyboard that we can write English letters, then add the Arabic harakat. Well, now the methodology of the study, the approach was quantitative in nature, and the method was experimental study, and the design was 3 and before with we take the question and answer the parts that we are asked or required to answer. This is the summary of the methodology in short. And now let's go with the important results. As we can see from the tables here, this table shows the mean scores of the native control. That is the native speakers, they were 5 people, and the Yemeni control and Yemeni experimental groups, they were 76 in total for the 9 tasks that they were required to reply to or respond. Here are the pre-test results. As we can see, the native speakers, they achieved good knowledge, of course, because this is their language. The mean mark was 8. However, the Yemeni control and Yemeni experimental group, they achieved the main mark was nearly 5 for each group, and that this is the pre-test. That means if we look at the 9 tasks that they were required to reply to, the overall significance for the Yemenis is the same. And this is the figure that can also show the results or explain clearly the results of the native control experimental group and Yemeni control group. The second chart shows the mean scores of the Yemeni control group. This group did not attend the teaching program, that is the intervention or the treatment, and these are the results in the pre and the post test. As we can see, the results are nearly similar, especially the overall significance is 0.2, that is higher than 0.05, which means that the achievement before and after is the same. Now, this is also the Here they can show the results of the Yemeni control group in the pre-test and in the post-test. The third chart shows the results of the Yemeni experimental group in the pre-test and the post-test. This is the group that was subjected to the intervention. They attended the teaching program, and the researcher has taught them the phonotactics and the phonotactic experience of English. In the pre-test, we can see that the mean mark was nearly 5. However, in the post-test, the mean mark becomes 10, that is nearly doubled. And if we look at the overall significance, it is below 0.05, which means that the achievement of the Yemeni experimental group in the pre-test is different than their achievement in the post-test. And here the figure shows or displays the results of the Yemeni experimental group. As we can see in the third and fourth task, the results are nearly similar because that the task was easy, that is the single onsets and the double onsets. But when it comes to the double and triple consonants, that was hard for the Yemenis in the pre-tests. And here is the final chart that shows the mean scores of the Yemeni control group and Yemeni experimental group in the post-test. As we can see from all the tasks, the Yemeni experimental group achieved higher and better in the post-test than the control group. This control group, of course, did not attend the teaching program, which means that the teaching program was effective. And this is also the figure that explains the results of the Yemeni control and experimental group in the post-test. The concluding or the major findings here as follows. First, the overall results of the pre-test, the 9 tasks for the control and experimental group, Yemenis, of course, was similar. That is before the teaching program or the training program. The second result was that the overall results of the pre-test and post-test of the Yemeni control group was the same before and after the program. And of course, this group did not attend the teaching or the training program. And the third result was that the Yemeni experimental group achieved higher and better in the post-test and in all the tasks, which means that the program was effective. When comparing the results of the Yemeni control group and experimental group in the post-test, it was found out that the Yemeni experimental group achieved better and higher in the post-test. So we can say that it is evident from the results that the explicit training program substantially influenced the Yemeni experimental group to attain sensitivity in all the tasks that they were required to reply or respond to. Now, the concluding result marks are as follows. The study was carried out in order to provide a solution to the difficulty confronted by Yemeni English as foreign language learners to determine the English syllable structures, the syllable boundary, the sequences of sounds that occur in the syllable initial and in the syllable final. Based on the results, the teaching program or the training program or the intervention was effective. And from the results, it is evident that with appropriate training, learners can comprehend and apply the rules, that is the constraints of the target language, and the learners can achieve and improve their level, and to some extent, they can equalize with the native speakers, of course, with the exception to the accent. And also the learners can avoid the transfer from the first language and the second language, because in the teaching program, it was pointed out that the syllable structure of English is different than that of Arabic, and therefore they should note that down and not have transfer. That means that they transfer the rules from the English to the Arabic when they come to speak it or learn it. And finally, the researcher has developed an approach, and now it is in the form of a book, and also now it is part of the teaching material in the Department of English Language at the Faculty of Education at the Murray University. So the approach is helpful for the learners and also for the teachers similarly. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and all the questions and clarifications are all welcome. Thank you very much.
يا دكتور محمد يقول بقرب قريب زي الدكتور امين، كان صوته واضح.
Okay. So we'd like to extend our thanks, and we would like to thank Dr. Amin for his expressive, informative presentation, and for his useful thoughts and efforts that he spends in preparing and presenting this paper. Thank you so much, Dr. Amin, and it's our honor to have you with us today. طبعا احنا اذا كان في استفسارات او اسئله ممكن انها تبعث عبر الشات، وبعدين سيتم الاجابه عليها لاحقا ان شاء الله تعالى. الان بننتقل الى الباحثه كرام بن عيسى من الجزائر. دكتور محمد، حاول انك تتكلم معها وتشوف ايش المشكله، يبدو عندها اشكاليه ما فعلتش الصوت او كيف.
طيب اعمل لها للشير سكرين واحنا نحاول نرتبط معها. الباحثة إكرام، ممكن تتكلموا لو سمحتوا؟ ألو. أنا بعطيها صلاحية كوهست الآن على أساس تقدر تعمل شيرنج من عندها.
هي بتتكلم مباشرة، ما فيش معها سلايدز تعرضها، هي بتعرض مباشرة.
طيب ممكن تتكلموا؟ أعتقد في مشكلة معها في الصوت.
ربما ما قدرتش اني على الصوت.
حاولت معها أكثر من مرة، ما أعتقدش به مجال.
إذا ننتقل إلى الأستاذ الدكتور محمود الشعبي بيعرض علينا بحثه.
طيب يا دكتور.
لا لا دكتور